You're sitting quietly, nothing is happening, no deadline approaches, no obligation looms, you have by any objective measure plenty of time. And yet, something presses, a sense of urgency, a feeling that you should be doing something, that sitting here is wasting time. That the clock is ticking on something, even if you can't name what. The feeling haunts modern life, not the stress of actual deadlines, not the pressure of real obligations, something vaguer, deeper, a persistent sense that time is slipping away, that you're falling behind, that you should be somewhere else, doing something else, becoming something else. It's there when you wake up, it's there when you relax, it's there when you're on vacation, a background hum, a temporal anxiety that never quite stops. Most people assume this is just modern life, information overload, too many options, the accelerating pace of everything, but neuroscientists and psychologists have traced this feeling back to something more fundamental. The feeling that time is running out isn't about your schedule, it's about your mortality, and your brain knows something that you don't want to know. In the 1980s, psychologists developed something called terror management theory. The theory starts with a simple observation: humans are the only animals that know they will die. We can project into the future and see our own absence. This knowledge should be paralyzing. How do you function when you know everything you do ultimately ends in death? The researchers proposed that humans develop psychological defenses against mortality awareness, cultural beliefs, self-esteem systems, worldviews that provide meaning and permanence. These defenses keep death anxiety at bay, usually, but the anxiety doesn't disappear. It goes underground. It manifests in disguised forms, in urgency, in the need to matter, in the feeling that time is running out. The vague pressure you feel isn't about today's tasks, it's about the ultimate deadline. Researchers have tested what happens when death awareness is activated, and they call it mortality salience, making people briefly think about their own death, sometimes through direct questions, sometimes through subtle exposure to death-related words. After mortality salience, behavior changes. People become more defensive of their worldviews, more hostile to outsiders, more eager to achieve goals that provide symbolic immortality, more anxious in ways that seem disconnected from the death reminder. The key finding: people aren't aware that death awareness is driving these changes. The effect happens unconsciously. The reminder of death activates anxiety. The anxiety drives behavior, but the person doesn't connect their feelings to mortality. They just feel urgent, pressured, like time is running out. You don't need to think about death explicitly for mortality awareness to affect you. Research suggests that death awareness operates constantly at low levels, a background process, an unconscious knowledge that colors experience. This background awareness fluctuates. Certain stimuli increase it. News about accidents, hospitals, cemeteries, aging, even subtle clues like autumn leaves or setting suns. Each increase in mortality awareness produces subtle shifts in psychology, more urgency, more pressure, more feeling that time is limited. Most days you encounter multiple mortality reminders. Each one nudges the background awareness higher. Each nudge adds pressure. By the end of an ordinary day, you've been reminded of death dozens of times. You haven't consciously thought about dying, but your brain has processed the reminders anyway, and you feel the pressure without knowing why. Somewhere in your mind, there's a clock, not a precise countdown, not a literal timer, but an intuitive sense of how much life remains. The sense develops in childhood. Children begin to understand that time is limited, that life has an end, that they personally will someday die. Understanding becomes part of the background. They don't think about it explicitly, but it shapes perception. A day feels like a larger proportion of remaining life as you age. Years pass faster because each year is a smaller fraction of accumulated experiences. The future compresses while the past expands. The lifetime clock affects the feeling of urgency. When remaining time feels short, everything feels more pressing. When the remaining time feels long, there's less pressure. Children have little sense of urgency about time. They have lifetimes ahead. The elderly often feel urgent, despite having fewer obligations. The clock is running down. The pressure you feel is about the clock you don't want to look at. The urgency often connects to a specific fear, not just death, but dying without having lived, the unlived life, the path not taken, the potential not realized, the person you could have been but didn't become. This fear adds pressure beyond simple mortality. It's not just that time will end, it's that time will end before you've done what you were supposed to do. But what were you supposed to do? The question has no clear answer, which makes anxiety worse. You're running out of time for something, but you don't know what. The urgency is goalless, directionless, just the pressure of time passing without you knowing how it should be spent. Social comparison amplifies the pressure. You see others accomplishing things, achieving milestones, living lives that seem more realized than yours. Social media has amplified this, a constant stream of others, highlight reels, each one a reminder that time is passing and you're falling behind. Falling behind what? Behind whom? There's no actual race, but the feelings persist. Others are using their time better, you're wasting yours. The comparison creates urgency. You need to catch up, but catch up to what? You don't know, just catch up. Just do more, just stop wasting time. Modern culture has built systems around this anxiety. Productive culture, self-improvement culture, optimization culture. The message your time is precious, you must use every moment, you must become better, faster, more efficient. The underlying fear, you're wasting the only resource that matters. Time is slipping away, and you're not doing enough with it. These systems exploit mortality anxiety while pretending to solve it. They promise that if you're productive enough, the pressure will stop. It doesn't stop, it can't stop, because the anxiety isn't really about productivity, it's about death. And no amount of productivity addresses death. The pressure returns immediately after any achievement. The next goal emerges, the clock keeps ticking, the urgency remains. The pressure often intensifies in midlife. There's a reason for the midlife crisis. The mortality clock becomes harder to ignore. You're no longer young enough to imagine a limited future. You're not yet old enough to have accepted limitations. You're in between, aware that time is passing, aware that doors are closing. The feeling that time is running out intensifies. The urgency becomes more pressing. The need to do something, change something, becomes desperate. Some people respond by changing their lives. Divorce, career change, wild purchases, attempts to recover youth. Others respond with depression, the weight of time, the impossibility of doing everything, the acceptance that some possibilities are gone forever. Both responses are mortality anxiety surfacing, the background awareness becoming foreground. Here's the cruel irony. The feeling that time is running out takes you out of the present moment. You're sitting peacefully, but you can't enjoy it. Because the urgency says you should be doing something, the anxiety about the future time destroys the present time. The time you're worried about losing is being lost to worry itself. This is the paradox. The fear of wasting time wastes time. The anxiety about the future steals from the present. The pressure to fully live prevents living fully. Presence is the antidote, but presence is exactly what mortality anxiety prevents. You're so worried about running out of time that you can't experience the time you have. Contemplatives have long known about this. Meditation traditions work with anxiety. They ask practitioners to sit with the feeling of urgency, to not act on it, to let it be there without responding. What happens is interesting. The urgency intensifies at first. The pressure to do something becomes almost unbearable. The mind generates increasingly desperate reasons to get up and be productive. Then something shifts. If you stay with it long enough, the urgency begins to dissolve. The pressure reveals itself as empty. The fear of wasted time loses its power when you're willing to waste time deliberately. The meditation doesn't solve mortality. You'll still die, time is still wasted, but the anxiety loses its grip. The background pressure decreases, the present moment becomes available, but not running from death awareness, by moving through it. Some philosophers argue that mortality awareness isn't just a source of anxiety, it's also a source of meaning. If time were unlimited, nothing would matter. Any experience could be deferred forever. Any choice could be unmade later. Nothing would be precious. It's precisely because time is running out that moments have weight, that choices matter, that life has texture and significance. The awareness that creates anxiety also creates meaning. The feeling that time is running out also is the feeling that time matters. Right now, you might feel it. The subtle pressure, the sense that you should be doing something, that sitting here watching isn't quite enough, that time is passing and you're not using it optimally. This is the mortality awareness, the background hum of your finite existence. You can't make it disappear, not fully. It comes with being human, with knowing what you know about time and death. But if you can recognize it for what it is, not a message about today's tasks, not evidence that you're doing something wrong, not a problem to solve with better productivity, just the weight of being mortal, the knowledge that time ends, the pressure that comes from caring about a life that won't last forever. The clock is ticking, it's always been ticking, it will always tick until it stops. You can run from this knowledge, fill every moment with distraction, never sit in silence, never let awareness surface, or you can face it, not morbidly, not with despair, but with recognition, for as long as now lasts. Thank you for watching. If this exploration into temporal anxiety revealed something new about the pressure you carry, consider subscribing for more investigations into science.